Hello, my name is Alan Palmer, and today I am going to go and do another live Facebook broadcast while recording this video for YouTube also. Now, what I want you to do, whether you're watching this video live or whether you're watching the video on the replay, I want you to share the video. Don't tag none of my Facebook page in this video. Share the video, tag someone, but don't tag any of my Facebook page in this video. And I want you to leave comments. Comment, let me know what you're thinking. Leave comment, let me know what you're thinking. Like, if I say something that is good, like it. Leave a remark, do something. Gunny, don't share this video on none of my Facebook page. It kind of confuses things when I try to, ensure that the original is on my page. So I will put those videos on my page. I've already tagged myself in them, so they should be on my page. So share this video to someone who you think should be watching it. We're going to discuss some very important things today. I'm going to bring a lot of information to you because my objective is to ensure that Vincentians are able to make good, wise decisions based on information, not on speculation. But before we go into that, the first thing I want to do is that I would like to extend condolences to the Duckwell family, Randy Duckwell, Leah Duckwell, and all the other members of the Duckwell family on the passing of Lawrence Leopold Duckwell. I will tell you this. I know Mr. Duckwell since I was a kid. Mr. Duckwell was a good, Michael Lewis, nice to have you, a good and honest man, right? He was one of my father's very good friends. My father had a temper, and my father don't like people telling him anything. The only person who tells my father stuff, Palmer, you're wrong, was Mr. Duckwell. Without fear. You understand? Mr. Duckwell was one of the only persons that my father actually listened to. You understand? Mr. Duckwell said, Palmer, you're wrong. Palmer, Soapy, you know you're wrong. Especially, I was 7 when my mother died. I can remember some things. Soapy, you know Miss P is right. You need to apologize to your wife. Go and apologize to Miss P. Mr. Lawrence Leopold Duckwell was a good man, and I bid my condolences to the Duckwell family, and I hope that they will find a peace and understanding in this time of their bereavement. So may Mr. Leopold Duckwell, Lawrence Leopold Duckwell, rest in peace. Okay, Michael Lewis, how are you doing, man? Yes, I am trying to mix it up a little with a tie. Thanks for the compliment, Michael Lewis. Now, Michael, do me a favor and share this video with someone that you think should be looking at this video. Tag someone in the video. Share it on your page and tag someone. Let us get this thing moving. Now, before I get into the meat of what I want to discuss here today, let me give you a little old-time story. Growing up in Bottomtown, we had a very interesting life growing up in Bottomtown. Now, one of the things that we came to love is being chased. So we organized games where we can chase each other. But everybody wanted to be chased. Nobody wanted to be the one who was chasing someone else. So what we used to do as little boys, 9, 10, 11, 12, hey, Chataye, my brother, what's going on? What we used to do at those young age is that we used to go about, thanks Gunny Hines, nice to have you. We used to go about and we used to look for crazy people and trouble crazy people. We didn't trouble them because they are crazy. We didn't trouble them because we thought they were less than us. But we trouble them in hopes that they will get angry enough to chase us down and give us a good chase, and we will be running from these people. Now, there was a lady who used to go to convent school. I would not call her name. And she had a nervous breakdown. And I remember one of our friends, we knew that it was believed that she was in love with this guy who broke her heart, and she had a nervous breakdown because of that. I don't know if that is quite true. However, we went uptown by Curry's and we saw her one night. She was at the place watching TV with everyone else. She wasn't homeless or anything, but she was crazy and she used to be outside and doing these things. She never get on crazy either. But we found out that she was crazy, so we decided to call her Crazy Love. Right? And this lady, we didn't know that the lady was one of convent school top athletes. Right? So when we called her Crazy Love, and she didn't really take it on, but when she realized that we were troubling her, the lady started chasing us. And she gave us a chase. I tell you, from Curry's, man scattered all over. Running past that, myself and Breadhead run into Paul's Avenue to get away from this lady. And this lady would not relent. We don't run from Curry's all the way down to where Banfield gas station was, and the lady would not relent, and the lady was coming hard on us. We dashed into Paul's, and the only place we could see for rescue, there was a house that was on 4 stilts. Our old house was on 4 stilts, and Brendan and I dashed under the people's house. The people was upstairs having in the house having dinner. It was about 7 o'clock, right? And there were some holes in the floor. We could see through and hear them talking and sharing the food and so forth. And the lady was out there on the streets, walking up and down, looking for us. But she couldn't figure, didn't know where we went. We were under our old house in Paul's Avenue, right? Hiding from this lady. And these were some of the crazy things that we did as children to get our hype, to get our fun on. Let me give you another story while I'm at it. In Bottom Town we had Buka, and somebody said they saw Buka having sex with a sheep. So we used to call Buka, meh Buka, meh Buka. Buka used to chase us down, right? But Buka get fed up. Buka was a kind of lazy guy. He didn't see any interest in chasing us. So one day after school, I was just going around the bay to hang out with my friends and them. And while I was walking down Queen Street, I saw about 6 of my friends speeding, running for their life, full speed ahead. They passed me, and they was going. Something say, join the fun. Probably it's Buka chasing them, right? And I could outrun Buka, but something tell me don't join the fun. So before I could join in, I saw a man named Tolo. Tolo is a regular guy in our neighborhood. Don't trouble no one. I never see Tolo run in my whole life. Tolo and John Bull, I never see them run. I didn't know if they could run or not. But when I saw Tolo bend the corner, Tolo had perfect stride. His legs were raising like a sprinter who had been training all his life. His hands were flicking back, and Tolo was running like a sprinter. However, I think it was Anto or one of those he was behind, and Tolo gave him a kick in his backside. He didn't kick him to trim down, he didn't kick him to injure him, but he just kicked him hard enough so we could hear it. And then he started to say, all the same is trouble, people? What are you troubling for? If all I think that, because Tolo was mindful that he didn't want to become a mark in the community with children just seeing him and troubling him. Right? But we never saw Tolo. I personally didn't know Tolo could run. I did not know Tolo could run that fast. John Bull is another one. John Bull live in the community. You see John Bull walking to and from. You never see John Bull run. I didn't know John Bull. Let me so play soccer and thing. Is after I think it's Cornelius Kodogan put up some pictures. And John Bull was in the picture. I was surprised that John Bull and Tolo and all these people were athletic guys when they were young. So that was an interesting story. Okay, now that I have told you some of my childhood things, let us go into the business here. Let us get down to business. Either a year ago or 2 years ago, I can't remember the exact time frame, but it's not too long ago, I saw St. Vincent and the Grenadines were exporting cows to Grenada. And I became concerned because I understand, everybody in St. Vincent knows the farming situation in St. Vincent. Livestock farming, where cows are concerned, there are a few farmers, 3 or 4 or 5, if that much, with about 60 head or more cattle. These farmers used to tend the cattle in the Argyle area and done at diamonds, right? But the other farmers that have cattle in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are farmers who would buy 2 and 3 cattle and replace them once those cattle have bred. So there was no sustainable livestock farming where cattle is concerned, right? A man will buy a cattle or 2 cattle, he will rear them for Christmas, try to get them bred and produce a young before Christmas, and after that, he will sell those cattle to the butcher, make some money for your family for Christmas. This is the kind of livestock cattle farming that is going on in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So we all know that if you're going to have large volumes of cattle as in a farm, you have to have large volumes of land where these cattle can graze, areas where they can drink water, because a cattle drink at least a bathtub of water a day. You understand? So we have to have all of these things, and the land volume in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, 152 square miles is not much, right? And since they build the airport, that means those people who are farming cattle in that area would have to relocate their livestock to another area. I don't know where they carry them. However, when I see Sabota Caesar speaking about the exporting of cattle, not just beef, not the slaughtered animal, the live animal, I was concerned. You understand? I was very concerned because of the nature and the type of cattle farming we have in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Now, one of the things that we must remember, we don't have any systematic breeding program, cattle breeding program in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where there's particular quality or breed of cattle as studs, where you can go and take them like they used to do a long time with the goat and sheep in the botanical gardens. Or there's no artificial insemination program that can ensure that if you have a export market of cattle, live cattle, you have an adequate replacement. There is none of that. So there is no sustainable livestock farming going on in St. Vincent. So the question we must ask, what gives the Minister of Agriculture the impression that he is able to export cattle just like that? Now, one of the things we have to consider, that the cattle that we have in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are dual purpose cattle. What does that mean? They are two purpose cattle. They are cattle that was brought into the country. Most of them came in from Britain when they were in control of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And the purpose of those cattle was to provide milk and meat, right? So here we have a situation where these cattle, because of they are not strictly milk cattle or they are not strictly beef cattle, they go to a certain size, right? For example, one of the things that we must now, before you start exporting anything, you must understand the market that you're exporting to. You must understand the product that you are asked to export, and you must understand your country's ability to provide that project. And the only how you could understand these things is to do a study. Now, okay, let us give for example, when they get the cocoa contract to export cocoa recently, or in the 50s, when Britain say, you know what, St. Vincent, you have good fertile land, you should start exporting bananas. What was the first thing that the authorities did? The first thing that they did was to find out what type of bananas the market required, right? Once you find out what type of bananas, you have to find out now. The customers want a particular type of banana, so you have to get that banana and plant that banana. How many bananas are we currently producing? What do we need to supply this external market outside? And they decided that one of the things that was needed is that they need more land dedicated to bananas. They need to increase yield by using particular fertilizers. They need to increase the yield by switching from one type of bananas to another, and so forth. And they need to increase the yield by fertilization. So that is because there was consideration and thought went into the production of bananas in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Now, the question we must ask is, what level of thought went in to the exportation of cattle from St. Vincent and the Grenadines to Grenada? That is the question we are asked to answer here. And I will tell you this, there was not much thought. Let me tell you why there was not much thought. There was not a study done. They did not have a livestock census or cattle census where they go about and they find out, well, how much cattle we have on the island, how much cattle, the average age of the animals, the purpose of breed, whether it's milk cattle, whether it's beef cattle, or whether it is dual purpose cattle. The organized slaughter rate of the cattle, the breeding rate and the replenishment rate of the cattle industry, the weekly and the annual consumption of beef in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Once we have all of these information, then we can determine if we are in a position to export these livestock because remember, when you're exporting anything, you are exporting the surplus that you have produced. And what most people do, what most sensible people do, is that they start increasing the volume of the product that they're going to export in order to ensure that the export does not impact the availability of the product in your country. It does not impact the pricing of the country, the pricing of the product that you're exporting, because export, you are not supposed to affect the local supply when you're exporting stuff, right? So when this guy, Soboto Caesar and Ralph Gonsalves, decide that they are going to sham the public, fool the public by telling them that we're exporting cattle, it is no surprise that the the butchers are now complaining that there is a lack of mature animals for slaughter to supply the local market. You understand? Because there was no thought went in to planning and seeing the available stock and how much we are able to export and for what purpose. Okay, for example, let us say Grenada's cattle stock went down and they need help in building this stock. You send about 200 cattle to Grenada, right? And you hope that the farmers who buy these cattle start breeding before the slaughtering to increase their stock. But that was not the situation. So Soboto Caesar and Ralph Gonsalves was exporting cattle to supply the the consumption market, right? There was the need for beef consumption in Grenada, and they were not slaughtering those cattle and selling them in quarters, like 10 cattle in quarters. They were shipping like about how much? Let me see the tabulation here. 16.7 cattle per week. 16.7 cattle per week. 66.8 cattle per month. And 300 cattle per year. You understand? So we have to ask ourselves, where was the planning? Because if you are going to export, you must plan ahead to ensure that it doesn't affect your present stock, the numbers in your stock. It doesn't deplete the stock, and it doesn't come to a situation where you may endanger the cattle species in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, because this is where it is today. Because, for example, the average cattle that is slaughtered in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is 550 pounds. Now, the butchers sent in to buy cattle could only find cattle 250 pounds, and these are young cattle. They may have the adult size, but they are really baby. They don't have the weight of a mature, fully mature adult cattle that is ready for slaughter. So in order for the butchers to keep up with the demand of beef and to ensure that they make their profit, they have to slaughter twice as much cattle in order to keep up with the supply. And this will only further deplete the stock in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Can we really afford to have our cattle stock depleted, where we have to order cattle from Holland, meat from Holland and America? Do you remember the other day? They have, what it was? This cattle disease, wild cow disease. You know why Vincent shouldn't get wild cow disease? It's because we don't import that volume of meat from overseas. So when those meats are contaminated with salmonella and other bacteria and viruses, we don't get it, because guess what? We have a culture where we slaughter and buy fresh beef in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Beef that was real on the on outside, not in pens like is real in America and certain European countries. So that is why we didn't get mad cow disease and all this kind of thing. That's why you didn't have all of these illnesses in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But if our cattle supply depletes to that stage, we would have to depend on Holland and America and other